The market on Dock 9 never slept. Even when the station lights dimmed to simulate night, voices echoed through steel corridors, credits exchanged hands, and lives were priced like scrap metal. Human traders, alien smugglers, corporate buyers, all came here for one reason: profit. Elias Rourke stood at the edge of the crowd, clutching a thin credit tablet with hands that had worked for 27 years without rest. His jacket was old, his boots worn thin at the soles, but his eyes were sharp. Not the eyes of a predator. The eyes of a man who still believed things could be different. Lot 47. The auctioneer barked, his voice amplified by a buzzing translator node. One alien juvenile. Low-grade species. No recorded abilities. Malnourished. Defective genetic markers. Worthless by consortium standards. A ripple of bored laughter passed through the crowd. Elias felt it then, the tightening in his chest. He leaned forward. The cage rolled onto the platform with a metallic screech. Inside stood a small alien girl, barely reaching Elias's waist. Her skin shimmered faintly, like starlight trapped under frost. Large, dark eyes reflected the harsh white lights above. Her clothes were rags. Chains circled her ankles, too heavy for a body that fragile. She didn't cry. That was what broke him. She's useless, someone scoffed. Can't work mines. Too weak for pleasure trade, another added. No combat value, said a mercenary, yawning. The auctioneer shrugged. Starting bid. 50 credits. Silence. Elias swallowed. 50 credits wasn't much, but what came after would be. He knew how this worked. Low starting price meant high upkeep costs. Medical, transport, registration, and then there was the risk. Harboring an unregistered alien was a crime in 6 systems. Still, his fingers trembled as he raised the tablet. 50, he said. Heads turned. A few sneers followed. Going once, the auctioneer said lazily. A tall trader laughed. 60, just to spite him. Elias clenched his jaw. 70. The trader raised a brow. 80. The numbers climbed, not because she was wanted, but because cruelty was cheap entertainment. At 200 credits, the crowd lost interest. At 300, silence returned. 300 going once, twice. Elias's life savings sat in that tablet. Not just money, years of missed meals, overtime shifts in radiation zones, nights spent alone in a metal bunk dreaming of Earth skies he'd never see again. Sold, the auctioneer said. To the human. The cage door unlocked. The girl looked at Elias, not with hope, but confusion. As if she didn't understand why someone would choose her. Elias knelt, meeting her eyes. You're safe now, he said softly, though he wasn't sure if it was true. Behind him, someone muttered, man just ruined his life for trash. Elias didn't turn around. They tried to stop him at the registry gate. Ownership transfer invalid, the clerk said, her voice flat. Species unclassified. Transport requires consortium clearance. I paid for her, Elias replied, forcing calm. She's legally mine. The clerk glanced at the girl, then back at her screen. Then you're legally responsible. Medical fees alone will exceed her value. That's fine. The clerk sighed. You don't understand. These kinds never survive long. They burn out. Genetic instability. She'll die. Elias looked down. The girl stood close to him now, her small hand gripping the edge of his jacket. He felt it through the fabric. Felt the fear. Then she'll die free, he said. Not in a cage. The clerk stared at him for a long moment, then stamped the clearance with a sharp motion. Transport Bay 12. After that, you're on your own. Bay 12 was little more than a storage hangar. Elias had rented a small cargo shuttle, cheap, barely functional. What the hell, he whispered. The door slid open. Aelira entered. She wore simple robes now, her royal markings dim. Her eyes widened when she saw him awake. Then she smiled. And bowed. Guardian Kale, she said softly. You have returned. Oren stared. I lost my arms. Yes. And now I have these. Yes. Why? She stepped closer. Because you died for me, she said. And my people do not let such sacrifices fade. She placed her glowing hand against his claw. The dragon soul you carry is ancient. It chose you. Oren swallowed. I didn't ask for this. Aelira met his gaze. Neither did destiny. Recovery was hell. The claws were strong, but uncontrollable. Walls cracked when he lost focus. Metal bent. Training droids shattered in seconds. Humans stared at him like a monster. Children cried. Soldiers whispered. Dragon freak. Weapon experiment. Not human anymore. Oren stopped leaving his quarters. At night, he dreamed of fire. Of wings. Of burning worlds. Aelira visited often. She never looked afraid. She taught him control, meditation, ancient Varelian focus rituals. She told him stories of the dragon guardians, warriors bonded to primal beings long extinct. "You are not cursed," she said. "You are chosen." "I didn't choose this life," Oren snapped. "Neither did I choose my crown," she replied calmly. One night, alarms screamed again. The Karoks had returned, this time with warships. The outpost shields failed instantly. Evacuation was impossible. Oren stood in the hangar bay, claws clenched, heart pounding. "I can't," he said. Aelira stepped in front of him. "You already did," she said softly. "The moment you ran toward death." Explosions rocked the station. Screams echoed. Oren looked at his claws. Then at her. And for the first time, he accepted them. He ran. Through fire. Through smoke. Dragon claws tore through steel, crushed enemy armor, deflected plasma like shields. His body moved on instinct, ancient, precise, unstoppable. They didn't make it far. A patrol cruiser intercepted them before they cleared the sector. Red lights flooded the cockpit. "Unregistered vessel," a voice boomed. "Power down immediately." Elias's heart sank. They boarded fast. Consortium officers in white armor, weapons raised. "You're transporting restricted biological material," the lead officer said. "This is a Class F offense." "She's not material," Elias snapped. "She's a child." The officer didn't flinch. "She is property." The girl shrank back, trembling. Elias stepped in front of her. "I'll pay the fine." The officer glanced at the console. "You have no credits." "Then take me," Elias said without hesitation. "Let her go." A pause. The officer studied him. "You would trade your life for her?" "Yes." The girl cried out then, a sharp sound that pierced the air. She grabbed his arm, shaking her head desperately. The officer made a decision. "Detain the human," he ordered. "Confiscate the alien." "No," Elias shouted as they dragged him away. "Please, she's done nothing wrong." The last thing he saw was her reaching for him, chains clamping around her wrists once more. Elias woke in a detention cell, cold and dark. His body ached. Time passed strangely there. Hours, maybe days. A man entered eventually. Not an officer. Older. Stern. Wearing a symbol Elias didn't recognize. "You shouldn't have done that," the man said. "Is she alive?" Elias demanded. The man hesitated. "Yes." Relief crashed through him. "But you don't understand what you bought," the man continued. "She isn't worthless." Elias laughed weakly. "No kidding. She is a luminaire," the man said quietly. "A rare species. Their genetic structure can interface with ancient star tech. Living keys." Elias's breath caught. "Then why?" "Because if the consortium admits that," the man said, "every luminaire child becomes a weapon. A resource. A reason for war. So they erase them. Label them defective. Worthless." Elias closed his eyes. "What will happen to her?" "She'll be dissected," the man said bluntly. "Or worse." Elias stood, pain forgotten. "Then let me see her. Let me help." The man shook his head. "Your sentence is already passed." "What sentence?" "Life forfeiture," the man replied. "Execution at cycle's end." Elias felt the world tilt. "Why tell me all this?" he asked. "Because," the man said, "she remembers you. She refuses to activate. Says she will only respond to the human who chose her." Hope flared. "Then bring me to her," Elias said. "Use me." The man studied him for a long time. Then he nodded. "Very well." They led Elias into a vast chamber, filled with ancient machinery humming with dormant power. At its center stood the girl, surrounded by energy fields. She looked smaller than ever. Her eyes met his, and lit up. She ran to him, barriers flickering as she passed through like mist. She pressed her forehead to his chest, trembling. "It's okay," Elias whispered, holding her tightly. "I'm here." The machines roared to life. Light flooded the chamber, blinding and beautiful. Symbols ignited across the walls. Systems long dead awakened. The man stared in awe. "She's activating the network." Elias felt warmth spreading through him. "Peace. What happens to me?" he asked quietly. The man didn't answer. The girl looked up at Elias, tears streaming down her face. She spoke, this time in clear, broken words. "You gave all." Elias smiled. "Worth it." The light intensified. The explosion of energy didn't destroy the station. It changed it. Across the sector, dormant gateways reignited. Old defenses powered up. Data archives long erased returned. Proof of crimes, of lies. The consortium fell within weeks. But Elias never saw it. When the light faded, his body lay still on the chamber floor. Life spent, savings gone, future erased. The girl knelt beside him, her small hands glowing softly as she touched his face. She understood now. Everything he had given. They named her Eri. She grew, not as a weapon, but as a guardian. She spoke before councils. She showed the galaxy what compassion had cost one human, and what it had saved. Statues were built, histories rewritten, but the girl remembered best. Every year, she returned to Dock 9. To the place where no one wanted her. Where one tired human had raised his hand and said 50 credits. And she would whisper into the cold metal air, I was never worthless. But even if I was, he still chose me. And the galaxy would remember the price of that choice.